Welcome to the first installment of this series on restorative justice. These sets of videos aim to give a basic understanding of restorative justice and provide a brief discussion about what makes it different from other strategies in the judicial system to seek justice. This first video will give you a basic idea of restorative justice and explain what some of its major tenets are. With that said, let's begin. There are many methods of employing restorative practices in communities that have been successful in different areas. However, Braithwaite's analysis highlighted the need to create standards for restorative justice while also attempting to call attention to the dangers of doing so. If not careful when creating standards of restorative justice, the standards could erase crucial tenets of the practice that were practiced well before Western adaptation. It is therefore important to create tenets which honor the bigger picture of the goals of restorative justice without being so specific as to not allow for implementations which might vary with culture and circumstance. That said, first, restorative justice focuses on harm. Restorative justice practitioners, first and foremost, are concerned with the harm done in an interaction. Our current criminal justice system largely focuses on punishing the offending party. In many ways, this makes victims, in many of these cases, largely disengaged with the judicial process. In the times where victims are considered, it is oftentimes only towards the effort of the state to successfully prosecute. Restorative justice believes that all who were harmed in a particular incident should be involved in the restorative process. Justice, in this perspective, is concerned with the needs of the victim and the communities who were also harmed by the wrongdoer. This perspective also requires that the process shows concern for the individual who harmed the victim and the community in the effort of providing a healing experience for all parties. Second, these harms create obligations. Obligations in this context refer to this responsibility that should be assumed by the wrongdoer and the harms they've caused. Restorative justice calls upon the wrongdoer to engage in a discussion which forces them to understand how their harms have affected the victims and the community. Wrongdoers then have an obligation to repair the relationship to the victim and the community that their harms have damaged. This obligation also exists in the community, as there may be ways in which the community are important to the healing of all of those involved. Third, restorative justice requires engagement. Restorative justice requires that all who were involved with the initial harm on either side are engaged in the restorative process. This not only means that victims and members of the community are involved in the process of deciding what should ultimately be done, but also that they are engaged in a discussion of all of the information regarding the harm involved. This engagement sometimes means that all parties are present and discussing these matters at the same time, but in some cases, mediated forms of communication or surrogates might be employed. So now that we have an understanding of what restorative justice is, our next video will give us an idea of what restorative justice is not. See you in the next video.